Welcome back to another episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast.
Podcast.
I'm your girl JB,
And I'm Cameron.
and we're back with another exciting episode. This week we're covering a golden era of Black film. We're taking us all the way back to 1995 to a wonderful, wonderful movie, Waiting to Excel, a fan favorite, your mama's favorite. You probably knew it growing up. You probably cried to it at least once. I mean, I rewatched this movie with Cameron as like I've seen it 1,000 times, but still watching it in adulthood again at this level of like just knowledge and awareness about the world felt like a completely different movie. I cried multiple times. Multiple times.
Well, you
but
understand where things are coming from now, you know?
in the past, I was just like, this is a crazy story. Their Prince Charmings are all acting wild. Adulthood, I'm like, oh yeah, this is some typical nigga shit.
Exactly.
Every time. So with no further ado, Cameron, tell us a little bit about this movie. Who is starring in this movie? The young versions.
Well, we have some heavy hitters. We got Loretta Devine. We got the late great Whitney Houston.
Ooh.
Layla Rashawn. And then our queen mother, Angela Bassett.
Angie.
And they have Leon, some male actors. Old dude from Soul Food. I think it's Michael. I forgot his last name.
Dang. Oh wow, you just gonna do us like that with the name? Like that's crazy.
I know it's Michael for sure.
I thought she was like really about to come in. Whoop,
I have the last name.
knock it out. It's okay, but Giancarlo's in it.
Giancarlo.
Okay.
Yes.
And then we got yeah, you said Leon already. Then we got you're talking about Makai something.
Yes.
I can't think of his full name either. I think it's Frazier, Makai Frazier, something like that. I don't know.
Like that.
But no, Williams. Yeah. No, here's a regular last name. Dang. Oh, I'm sorry,
Not
man.
regular.
He has such a long history of acting. So for us to not have his name down is crazy. And then there's Faizon Love. Faizon Love, right? He's in there too as a young boy. And then of course Gregory Hines, our main character, our love interest, and then Allstate, Mr. Allstate.
It's not from State Farm.
This is so embarrassing because I pulled it all up in advance. I want to make sure that we didn't mess this up. Here we are messing it up.
Everybody, you're gonna know his voice.
You do know his voice, and his name is Dennis Haysbert. Michael Beach John Harris. That is who Whitney's Angela's husband is in this movie. And then Mykelti Williamson as Troy. Oh, trifling Troy.
Troy is my favorite character stuff. He was himself. He's completely real.
So what is it about this film that cast out the way? Because we got some heavy hitters in there, and they did all grow up to be big, great actors and actresses. Cast out of the way. What is your favorite part of this movie? Like, what is it about this movie that makes it a golden era Black film classic for you?
Well, I figure like besides the film score, I really feel like it's just so relevant to today. Like I feel like people are still experiencing the same thing, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I feel like it's just so relatable.
It is. But could you imagine if every girl now who saw their man like a girl's picture put all his shit in his car and lit that thing on fire? I mean, today's world is completely different, right? Social media has made us have a completely different world. But as far as relatability is concerned, 100%. Like the tribe that you need to get through life's trauma, like the dumb choices that you make in real time.
Exactly.
Like those things really matter. And to see a movie with such a thorough, well-written story, start to finish, like, chef's kiss.
I feel like they don't do it anymore like that.
And it was just so thoughtful. I mean, you started on New Year's and you ended on New Year's. So we're not just going through a breakup. We're going through a whole year-long process of her experiencing this divorce, the growing pains. I mean, months and months and months after the divorce happened, she's still crying about going through divorce. Like, so relatable. Again, you're not healing from things overnight. Things are just not happening magically for you. But you have Loretta Devine's character. So like outside of like our dear princess queen, Angela Bassett and her character, because gosh, she was so fun. She was so fun, and she was killing it. I mean, facial expressions, attitude, everything just felt so genuine about her acting. And I was talking to Cameron earlier about this, but I just feel like times have changed so much that we don't really have genuine acting anymore. We don't have genuine lines. Like some of the lines that they said to each other just felt so like at home, so comfortable, so real. Like you would really hear your homegirl or your mom or your cousin say this in a moment. And the reason why is because they have characters in this movie that are wrong. Ooh, I'm getting carried.
No,
I'm getting carried away. Let me come back to
it.
that. Let me come back
I'm
to
thinking
that.
about that too because we talked about that earlier about how like I feel like the problem with story writing these days is that there aren't a lot of honest characters because they're like trying to do like a lot of underground or under the radar like political work. I like things that always have like some type of like contrary message to who the person is, and I feel like that's not. Sometimes somebody's just an asshole. Like we don't need the explanation on.
You said it. You said it best earlier. Underlying, like there's always an underlying like agenda or motive.
Exactly, and it's just like it gets tiring of like trying to like dissect every character to such a deep level. When at this point I just want the villain and the hero. Like we know why they're the hero. We know why they're the villain. That's the story being told, not the background work and everything.
Some people just make bad choices. You know what I mean? Like having Savannah's mom, so Whitney Houston's mom in the story, tell her over and over again to go back to that man who's married to somebody else child. Because he's a good man, Savannah. A good man.
She believes it.
To have your mom be so wrong, like that's part of like movies that I feel like I miss. Like I miss that element of there's these characters in there and they have an influence over you and they can be wrong. We always see these people who have like just good circles of friends and no one's a bully and everybody has the right thing to say and we all just want the best. It's like, no, people are actually that's not really reflective of the world that we see. Like maybe people have the intention, they want to be nice, but they don't necessarily know how to deliver. But in this movie, you're seeing these main characters be flawed. Okay, the homegirl that keeps hopping on the phone, Layla Rashawn character, hopping on the phone every time they call a nigga, and she first thing to do cuss them out. Like we all got that friend that's ready to go. Why do we have to see movies and sit through them, and we have these characters that are so boring and so like dull where it's just my job is to support you, girl. It's like that's not the real world. Like the real world, we have a lot of like self-inflicted people. We don't have a lot of like what we see in TVs nowadays. So this movie was excellent because they're all going through their own struggle, but their character never slipped away. Like they all had an assigned character and stuck to it.
They knew the assignment.
They knew the assignment and they did it. They saw it through. None of them had to be the hero for one another. None of them had to, I don't know. It's just TV now is just so different.
Yeah, I feel like especially with Terry McMillan's stories in general.
Ooh, Terry McMillan.
They do tend to empower women, but mostly black women is who we're focusing on. And I feel like that requires honesty, so these stories can be portrayed accurately, especially something like. This is more like a drama. Like there are comedic moments, but I wouldn't say like a comedy. I would say more drama.
Yeah.
Especially, and we don't get a lot of like black dramatic work. We get like a lot of like I feel like a lot of out there stuff. Like some stuff like about maybe
you mean ghetto stereotypical stuff.
And I don't want to say ghetto stereotypical because I can be stigmatized, but I guess hood stuff, ghetto stuff, and it's like it doesn't have to be that. Like it can be successful black women and tell their story, and successful black men too. Not all the men she was dealing with were trifling and broke. Like there were some successful.
Yeah.
So these are people who are like in upper middle class. And again, we're seeing another side of black people or another side of blackness where everybody's not struggling financially,
right?
And which is a different world.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the whole them really emphasizing the movie taking place in Phoenix, Arizona is kind of comical to me because one, there wasn't a whole lot of black people out there at that time, so that was already like okay. And then I guess apparently like it was even more highfalutin than we could like imagine because it was like she was there and wealthy.
Yeah,
she had this house and like a fire and all these things that was going on. Like she was really like living a very rich life. Exactly. So I just love the fact that they put like emphasis on she's rich. She's not a gold digger. She helped him get to his business. Exactly. He just so happened to really do well and succeed. But again, she's wealthy, and none of her homegirls around her were struggling. No one around was like, "Oh, we don't have nothing." It was like Loretta Devine had a house.
Even though she was a single mother, she still had her stuff together. Like
yeah,
she owned her own business, everything.
exactly her hair salon, and just everybody had their own thing going on, so nobody was like a bum, and it was really great to see like that reflection of like black women. Because I don't know, it's so weird. Because even now, like I feel like a lot of like men or other outside forces try to portray black women as these like just so ghetto, so
Yeah,
like
just like
black women are sedity, okay? Black women are out here. We are acting up. We are spending money like drug dealers. We are
exactly.
enjoying luxury in life. So the narrative, where does that even come from? I mean, this movie's from '95. We were
Exactly.
already dipped in silk and at fancy events at golf clubs. Like we're
Exactly.
already showing you that we're capable, we're multifaceted. So I just think that it's just so cool to see this era of the film, like this era of black wealth, black greatness in a time where it probably wasn't that often that you see it on TV.
Well, yeah, especially when you think 1995, a lot of what was being portrayed in mainstream media. So like, I think it's such a great adaptation. Like, just overall, like really feel good movie.
Yeah,
and I feel like we don't get a lot of those because like there was no tragedy either to drive the plot. It was just like real women really dealing with trying to find love.
fact, no tragedy either to drive the plot.
I mean, it
Like
was her
it
divorce,
wasn't
but I'm saying it wasn't
right.
like.
No, facts.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There was no like other moment where she got another slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's exactly why. Another reason why our stuff feels so disingenuous now, right? Because a bad thing can't just be a bad thing. It has to be a bad thing plus. She didn't just lose her job; she got in a car accident the same day, and her best friend cheated on her with her husband. Like, it's years. Like
you like.
It's like, dang, these movies are dragging you. Like, let's pause. One of these scenarios alone is trifling. It's traumatic enough to be the entire premise of the movie. She's getting a divorce from her husband. Add the slap in the face, which was he was getting with a white woman.
Like, I mean, we can talk about that, but I can still.
I'm reading a book right now. I'm on page 14. And in the first 14 pages of Black Girls Must Die Exhausted by Jane Allen, she describes her father leaving her mother for a white woman. Yeah. Oh, the sting like no other sting, okay? No other race could explain it to you. No other person can explain it to you besides a black woman, okay? Mm-hmm. But that was a painful scene to see in this movie. How you left her for a white woman. That you can't compete with a white woman.
Well, he said it. Remember in the line, he said, "Would it have been better if she was black?" She
said,
it would have been better if you were black. And
yeah. Ooh. She called him a sellout. She called him a sellout.
No, but
no facts.
But it wasn't like any crazy, chaotic trauma that kind of deals outside the plot. The main plot was her divorce. That was her tragedy. Loretta Devine's tragedy, her losing her son, feeling like she might not have anybody, but still be able to find love.
And wait a second. Pause too. The fact that he left her for a white woman, but the entire movie was not about race. Yeah. There was never another moment where it was like, oh, I'm the white man, I have the power. It was never another moment like that where it was like, where we were talking about race in this way that we do now, where we're always so like inferior or so like defeated by it. We're really talking about like, she just so happens to be white. Like, what the fuck? Why'd you choose a white woman? Like, I can't compete with a blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl. Like, that's not even my category. Like,
Well, I feel like I get that too because, I understand that, but I also think like it's very intentional that like black people understand that already when you say it's a white woman.
Exactly.
And I feel like these movies were made for black people because I feel like the problem is a lot of times now we try to invite our audience into like, oh, this is kind of what a black person would think, instead of making like Toni Morrison talks about like making characters for black people.
Yeah.
Like so like when that black person says something, we already know what the context is. We don't have to explain. Oh, it's a white woman, so that means all these other layers underneath that. We already get it. So like I feel like that's why I say this was like a good story for black women because I feel like it was like it's made for black women. Now y'all happen to come watch it and like
enjoy
participate. You can do that, but if for you to fully grasp it, it's for black women. And again, I'm not a black woman, so I'm not saying like
I would say for the black gays in general, because like, I'm sure black men understood it.
Yeah, I feel like once you have the black gays, is that perfect? You said perfectly. Like you understand all the nuances. And I feel like the thing is, a lot of times today we're afraid to put those nuances in our stuff because we're like, oh, but they won't get it. It's like they don't have to get it.
Yeah, we're not creating for them.
Exactly.
And I feel like a lot of our TV shows are catered to like, you know, because like, you know, I talked about it in another episode before, but narration. I talk about how narration is being used more often now, and it's kind of like a cheat sheet to give the audience like answers into what the character is thinking. And in a lot of ways, I do feel like people of color have been using narration in ways to help explain things to white people. We're breaking down the code, we're breaking that barrier, and it is one of those things where it's like Waiting to Excel was so great because we didn't stop and pause and say, "Wait, we hope you can keep up." This is why this is was a gasp moment. If you were a white girl in 1985 at the movie theater with a whole bunch of niggas, and she said, and you left for a white woman, that white girl in the theater would know how deep it was by the gasp of all the black women in the theater. All the black women would have said, "Oh, a white woman! Oh, how dare you!" And she would have understood the gravity of what that really meant to our community. So you're right about that. You're right about that extra step that they didn't take then to explain our culture to them. And that kind of is what keeps things inside, right? Yeah. Like, and it's not to say that we want to have separation and inside jokes from whites, but it is important as a community that we do have certain things that we understand together. And I do feel like because we're all so interracial and so diverse and so inclusive that we keep on trying to break down that little layer of what it is. But every time that we do that, it just gets more and more appropriated. You know, like the more that we allow, the more people and more cultures that we allow inside to our inner circle, the more exploited our culture becomes. You know, the less that's really ours. You got white girls saying stuff like, "Ooh, Chile," instead of "Ooh, child," because they read it on Instagram somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, how much exploitation can you get? Makes me feel like the whole Dave Chappelle thing when he was like, "I didn't want to go back to my show because the white people they were laughing at us and not like with us." And it's,
and when you sucking and driving,
you're like, wait a minute, I don't want to be Wayne Brady. Or like another second driver, you know the ones. Yeah.
I mean, and I agree, and I feel like, and again, the whole like introspective thing, or like letting people in, that's not a bad thing. Like do that if you want to, but again, if you want something to be authentic and authentically a certain thing, like I feel like black people we're always so censored, always so conscious of what everybody else thinks. We're the only people to always take into account what everybody else has to say. Yeah, like and it's like people make a Jewish movie, it's Jewish. If somebody makes a Chinese or like like that distinctly Chinese, not just like they don't like us Asians, right? They're like us Chinese people, And I feel like black people being an ethnic minority essentially in America, it's okay for us to be like, this is a black thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that, but we have a hard time because we have a hard time existing without having other races included. Exactly. So we're always so mindfully inclusive. But the fact is, like, yeah, like if we're being inclusive, we can stop explaining. Yeah. We can stop going that extra mile. So I do like that this movie really was showing like them having their authentic experience. And they did use a little bit of narration. One of my favorite scenes with that is when Whitney is dancing. She's slow dancing with a guy. And she's like narrating how great the whole experience is, and it's just so funny to hear women have that strong of a voice, especially at that time, because women really weren't allowed to be sexual creatures. So to hear her responding to his physical touch and his body and blah blah blah, it was just really really nice to see. It was definitely rare for that time, and I still could use more of that in today's TV as well. Yeah,
definitely. I feel like that's the honesty of acting. I guess you could say, because I mean you're acting, but I'm supposed to believe you. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times with a lot of narration today, I'm like, I don't believe that.
Whitney was a really good actress.
She you really believe she's Savannah.
She was really a soprano too, because she was sassy as hell. Was she not the sassiest girl ever? That's such a soprano. That was such soprano behavior.
But she also was a producer in the movie, so I feel like that fits perfectly.
Yeah. All-star cast. I mean, God, watching this movie, these black girls were like the epitome of fine. Just the finest girls you could ever see. Just not taking no shit. Like, I loved it. I loved it. And I mean, really, I watched it with brand new eyes, because I don't think I've ever in my entire life made it all the way to the end until today.
I feel like I've seen it multiple times, but for me, like, I never had like such an appreciation like I have today. And I mean,
deep understanding.
I mean, I feel like that obviously comes with experience. When you first saw it as a child, you're like, and then when it come on like on BT or something, with growing up, you watch it, you're like, oh, that's different. But like now, like having experienced so much more, I'm like, damn, this was this is real. Like
Yeah.
this is. I mean, this needs to be seen today again. Like,
And like as a grown woman who is single and has dated multiple types of
mhm.
men, I can tell you about every single one of them situations. I know what all that feels like. Everything across the board. I mean, really, it's hard to date out here. And back then, like that was one girl saying, "Oh, I went through this situation with this man," and now like one girl could tell you about all four of them situations happening to her. Like, because we are just such a different generation now. We're speeding through dating. We're speeding through people. So like our experiences is like, yeah, you can meet a girl that's had those all of those experiences. Like, oh yeah, my man left me for a man. He was gay. Oh, like, my husband cheated on me with a white girl. Okay. Like, and like the list goes on. Oh, I'm dating a guy, but he's married or whatever, and he leaving his wife. Okay. Even, I mean, to think about the cherry on top of this movie being Angela Bassett reading the letter from Wesley Snipes, who was happy to write her because he could tell her how happy he was that his wife was basically nearing the end of her life.
So he wouldn't have to betray her to be with
her. To be with her. So you're talking about the gold line at the end of the story was still it was still a married man. You're still a married man hoping that his wife dies. Anyways, that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. But still, honestly, such a strong story.
I love the title, like just waiting for that moment you'll find the person where you can just breathe and feel at ease. Waiting to exhale.
And that's how you translated it, and I translated it completely different.
Well, how did you translate it? Oh.
Waiting to exhale to me, like when life is happening to you and like things are just like piling on top of you, you can't breathe. So like you are literally holding your breath, waiting for the shit to stop dropping, and then you can finally let go, exhale. Waiting to exhale, you're waiting to just breathe. Yeah, but you said it different too.
Well,
I like that too.
I felt it for me because I do see it as a love story, like you waiting to be that person, like where that person takes that burden off of you, where you can exhale, where you can finally trust, just let go and be free. But it doesn't necessarily. Again, the good thing about this movie, it doesn't have to necessarily you get into happy love story like, oh, he did leave his wife, or it's about you making up your mind about what you want and then going for it. You know? And that's what I love about this movie, because all these women at one point had to make up their mind about how they felt about something or what they wanted, and then do it. And then they all did it by the end of the year, essentially. Even though it wasn't like even time, but you saw the development throughout the entire year. I thought that was powerful.
Yeah, and you learn so much about the characters too, like in such subtle ways. Like when we have to learn about Lila Rashawn having her past situation and having an abortion, like it wasn't like in your face, like, well, I believe abortion is right. So this is, you better not judge me for this, and you got to support my decisions, or it was nothing like that. It was just like her telling her story in the most modest way possible. Just to really emphasize that when she did get pregnant again by the wrong guy again, because the wrong guys kept entering her life. Jesus, poor girl. She said, I'm gonna keep the baby, you get out, disappear like you always do. Oh, she was so fine. She was so cute telling him that from that little angle. Like that camera was really working. That camera was like, anyways. I even loved her storyline because she did honestly, what she did was very relatable for me. Like first you date the guy that you're not attracted to 100% because you think you're gonna give me the lifestyle that I want. And this nigga got the nerve to 2-time you when he came to the club? Come on. I mean, so then you take a different approach. You date the artist guy, whatever. But he's on some other shit. He's on drugs. He yelling at your house, calling you a. He was doing some crazy stuff. That whole throwing stuff at her. Said, you better not throw that.
He put it down too. You know.
That scene. Because people are unhinged, and that is what I watch movies for. Exactly. I do not want to watch the perfect, well-rounded character. I want to watch the unhinged person do what unhinged people do, okay? I want to see the unexpected as far as how one reacts to breakups. We are not out here reacting healthy. These men are not acting healthy. Women are not either. We're not healthy with one another. I want to see the truth. I want to see you throw that melon at me.
Exactly.
Okay? And me tell you, you better not. Like that finger gonna do something.
It's stopped a lot of stuff before. Okay. What I've seen. When you mean it though, you gotta mean it. You gotta say what's up.
Period. Some authority in that. Don't you throw that up here. Don't you do it. Well, wait a second though. Loretta Devine. Okay, now you know the scene that matters the most. That little,
yes.
oh, just a little
ham and cheese, macaroni and cheese, and collard greens, and a couple sets of ham. You like it. First of all, that's my type of person. Okay, she was cooking.
Big. What are you doing?
I mean, you called me back.
It's Tuesday. What are you doing?
Exactly. Because she had the food, so that's already.
She definitely had the food. But she said, "I'll just bring you a little plate, nothing serious."
But it's funny because I feel like everybody acts like Loretta Devine's character was like so shy and timid, and then watching the movie, she actually really was not shy.
Nah, she wasn't.
She walked up there, oh boy was like, oh, he looked good.
That was the entire point. She literally walked across the street and bothered her new neighbor trying to be nosy.
Exactly.
She wasn't shy or timid. She was nosy, and then she was flirting. That was her. That was her flirt. Exactly. Okay. And then they walk away. She said, "Oh, he better not be looking at me." Oh, he looking at me. Girl, like, I mean, bring that back. That's a real ass moment, you know?
I think that one thing I like about the golden era, especially like the height of the 90s with black people like actually making mainstream movies. Because this movie, I think, made almost $100 million. What movie, especially black movie, in the 90s making like almost $100 million? It's hard to make them.
So Angie should have got her award a long time ago and not no honorable award, but we will digress.
For real though. But I feel like they have a lot of those movies have like those one-liners where you like remember from ever, like forever, like from Friday, like damn, or like like they were just so iconic. I feel like, and I don't know why. We're gonna figure out. We're gonna examine it, but like I feel like they don't make movies like that anymore.
No, they don't. Like movies that actually have memorable moments, but they're not working hard to be relatable anymore. They're not trying to be relatable anymore. They're trying to be politically correct. So it's like they take out that human dimension of it. Like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of current TV. Watching these movies and actually feeling something every step of the movie was crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, is this how movies are supposed to be written?
Yeah.
I mean, the thoroughness of even starting and ending on the same day. Like it's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. And then they ended the same exact way, like coming in together. It's like, it's just the thoroughness of like taking us through the seasons and the cycle of like healing. Like it really was just wonderful. And to have 4 main characters that all had individual stories.
Exactly. And like that was thing because I feel like a lot of people thought like especially because Whitney Houston was part of the movie, like this huge global international star, and like these other women did have like they're established actresses, but everybody thought it was gonna be like Whitney Houston leads this movie. And it was like very, very well balanced between all 4
very well balanced.
Like if I'm in a girl group, that's the one I want to be in. When everybody got their time.
Everybody has their time. Exactly. So. Yeah. And so if you really like paint the picture that way, like when they were making this story, it definitely wasn't this is going to be about Savannah having a divorce.
Yeah.
This story, when they pitched it, they had to have pitched it as there's 4 black women dealing with relationship issues and they're dealing with it together. And we're going through a year with them together as they solve these problems and work together and support each other through their relationships. And this is the different variations of the relationships. I think that's how they painted the story because literally everyone's time is so split up. It could not have been any other way. You could not have said, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be Whitney." No, it was so split up so well, and there were so many moments where they would come together and have like time together. But it was split up so well that you really don't even like. It felt like real life,
exactly.
Right? Like one friend here at one time, you're doing this over here at this shop,
and 2 of you meet over here, the other 2 over here.
Yeah, there's.
Vice versa.
It's just very real. In real life, I can't get all my friends in one room unless it's a holiday.
Exactly.
So it's very likely that I might meet up with you, and then you meet up with someone else, and that information gets exchanged that way. So again, just seeing this movie just felt so relatable. It was such a blast from the past. And honestly, 10 out of 10. I mean, I don't think anybody's done it as good as far as just like a thorough like story for black people with no weird stereotypes. Just like he's a man, she's a woman. Like
exactly.
That's it. That's the only stereotypes that we got. Like really, honestly, and like she wasn't even emotional. Oh. Yes. Her lighting his stuff on fire wasn't even emotional. She was so calm. She was so calm when she did it.
She got, and it's funny because she got emotional after it. They showed actually going through the different stages of grief with her character. I can't remember her name in the movie, but Angela Bassett's character, like I thought was done so well.
Yeah,
it was done so well.
Yeah.
But again, the whole plot, the way it was driven forward, I didn't feel like I rushed anything. There was one part. There was like a editing issue, and I said I want to talk to the editing issue.
What do you mean?
During a scene with Loretta Devine talking to Giancarlo's character about their son, and it kept going back and forth with her with the earring on and with no earring on. Yeah. That was an editing mistake, but you know, it's the 90s. I give him a pass.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. I caught that. I'm telling you, I'm watching the editing of these movies. I'm paying attention.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes I think that certain things can be done to be funny, because like you know when you're a film student and you study certain things like that one movie with the house, it was like a haunted. Oh,
The Shining.
The Shining. They make us study The Shining so hard, but there are so many different little things that he did purposefully that he wanted people to notice. Like there's a scene where there's like luggage in the lobby of the
hotel.
Yeah, the hotel. There's luggage down there. And then there's another scene where everyone else is carrying a piece of luggage, and there's another scene where there's no luggage at all. But they're all supposed to be the same moment. So if you like go back and you watch the scene, it's like an insider that he made, and there's like insiders all throughout The Shining. And I say that to say like, who's to say that the earring no earring thing wasn't a insider? Just like Issa Rae in the photograph when she goes from having her hair blow dried, or no, having her hair straight to having a scene where her hair like blow dried. Yeah. So it was like straight bone, and then another scene where it's like foofy. It's like, girl, that was on purpose. Obviously, we're all just having a good time here. And if I was making these movies, I would do the same thing. I'm planning jokes for my friends. Are you serious? Why not?
And I mean, you can, but I'm just saying that's what I feel like was a little. I like the
just like SpongeBob when someone always screams out "my leg" whenever anything happens.
I understand that part, but I'm saying like, I feel like it's more like the Game of Thrones when they had the Starbucks cup. Because somebody had accidentally left the Starbucks cup in the scene. It's like that's it. It's like somebody messed that up on accident. But again, the movie's great.
There was a Starbucks cup in the scene.
You see the scandal? They edited it. They fixed it now, but yes. They used the scene with the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones. So
that's hilarious.
Literally,
I will be googling that later. That's hilarious.
But overall, like I feel like it was a very well made movie. Again, I feel like it wasn't a cheesy plot. It wasn't like no weird slang that they tried to throw in there.
Yeah,
everything felt natural to me.
Yeah, that's because they didn't have to care about other things, and that's honestly what I want to get back to. I really want to get back into studying like these old films because there's a certain genuinity. Nope. There's a certain genuinity.
Ingenuity? Is it ingenuity? It's fine.
It's genuine. Okay? There's something about how genuine they were at the time that made these films excellent to watch. They weren't trying to appease anybody. They were just making films that were relatable to the human experience. And to me, what makes a great story, no matter what, is if I can take the characters, color them a different color, put them in a different country speaking a different language, and the story still mean the same thing, that's a good story to me. So for me, I give this 10 out of 10, of course. Yeah, exactly. We already been there. It's 10 out of 10. We loved it. Cameron, is there anything you would change about this movie? I'm just curious.
There's not one thing I would change about this movie. I think it's one of those movies that you just leave it alone. Don't ever try to remake it.
Please.
Don't.
Please, I do not want to see Waiting to Exhale the musical. Don't piss me off.
I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm for musicals, just not in the movie form.
But Waiting to Exhale the musical, it hasn't been done.
You might be honest with something. Don't sell our idea because if you know, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
So
it's trademark, baby.
I will be suing if you try to take that idea.
Okay, you two got the rights.
My 12%, you know.
12? That's it?
I'm very nice. I'm very kind.
68%. Nothing less. He'll take his 12. That's 80-20. Okay. That's how fast I do math when it comes down to money. Stop playing with me.
She said 60%. Well, yes. So please go out and watch this movie. Let's get these streams up on Peacock. But you can get on Peacock for free.
It is streaming on Peacock. And also, right after that, Go watch how Stella got her group back, because I started watching it and I said, "Yo, this is so excellent,
she was on her back.
so exquisite."
On her back.
So make sure check it out. Just check it out. But thanks, guys, for watching another episode. We'll call this a throwback episode, a throwback to the golden era. Every now and then, you'll see us pop out an episode as a throwback to the golden era, because we really, really do respect our homegrown roots. We respect our Terry McMillans. We respect our older actors, our veterans in the game, and we really want to give them their shine that they probably didn't get back in their day, because there weren't podcasts talking about it. I mean, who else is talking about Waiting to Excel? Exactly. So we're here to be the experts on that for you. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching another episode of the Black Cinema Experience podcast. Thanks for watching. Bye.